Okay, here we go. Here are the motorcyclists that are leading the way for the coach. Talk to us about what we're seeing, please.
Yep, so that's the movement, and you saw a lot more motorcycles in this, but obviously they were in front of the Terre Haute PD cars and obviously doing some intersections, but this is the actual escort itself. So you see the two on each side. So they may go to three here, but I doubt it, but they'll stay at two, one on each fender of the coach itself. And they will escort all the way to the cemetery itself.
I may have to interrupt you if we get audio of that 1042. That's very critical.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna walk back over. Am I live, Suze?
FLP 1420, Central Dispatch, Unit 129. Centrally from
I
the
don't think you want her live yet, Suze. Take that mic off.
That's Unit 129.
Okay.
One. Central Dispatch, Unit 129.
Oh, I am? My mic?
Work with the other units. 97-2021. Terre Haute Police Department, Detective Greg J. Ferency answered his final call. While leaving his office, Detective Ferency was ambushed and killed. There is no greater love than a man that would lay down his life for another. Terre Haute Police Department Detective Greg Ferency, Unit 129, is 1042. Is going home for the final time.
Maybe I start for, I'm gonna guess 34.
We clear?
This is always a heart-wrenching time in the procession. You just heard 911, Vigo County 911 Director Vicki Oster giving the final call, calling for Unit 129, which is Detective Greg Ferency's badge number, calling for him multiple times. With him not answering, she is saying 129 is 1042, answering his final call. Oster also saying there is no greater love than a man that would lay down his life for another, which is exactly what Detective Greg Ferency has done for this community after 30 years of service. We heard the similar call for Rob Pitts, and unfortunately as well 10 years ago for other officers. If you could pick up, Scott, and talk to us about what we're seeing.
Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking back all the way to Brent Long 10 years ago. And you know, I think one of the most moving parts, besides the obvious, I mean, you can hear the pain in the dispatcher's voice. It's just, he will never be called again.
Right.
He will never be forgotten, but he will never be called again. And I think that's where the realization sits in from a dispatcher's perspective. They're not going to be able to use that badge number or his name again, you know, in their work, and that's where it really hits home. But that is very significant. Like we talked early this morning, with the dispatchers, but with the police officers and the family as well, because they can hear and feel what the dispatcher and the officers are experiencing when they hear that last 1042.
What a beautiful sight we're seeing here too. The community really coming together, rallying right in front of the headquarters. Flags, you see American flags, you see blue line flags, just wonderful. You see children.
Very, very, very nice turnout.
The coach, along with the procession, is making its way to the Garrison flag. That will be the next stop. Not really a stop, it will be the next move.
Yeah, they will slow down significantly. So if they're doing between 15 and 20, they'll slow down to probably be 5 and 10. So the family can, that's going to be overwhelming to them. That's all they're going to be able to see as they're driving up the street.
And as you can see, Scott, we are live here at the Garrison flag. They are beginning to proceed through that. This is the beginning of the procession.
Yes, and the flag is, we call it furl, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. And we'll see what happens. It is a little bit windy out there, but the fire department's able to control that, and the family will get a very overwhelming perspective as they come up the street.
And you said that it's easier to control that windy flag than rain.
It is. I mean, it still puts a toll on those ladders because if you imagine 60 feet, it's up so high, and you still have to get vehicles and everything else, and you still have to be conscious of the power lines as well that are running right just next to it.
Well, and as Blake Dahlia mentioned earlier in a live report for us, they had to actually move down. They were supposed to be right in the middle, the heart of that intersection of Brown and Wabash, but they had to move down because of the power lines, and of course there's safety that you want to watch for because they're up. How many feet are they up? Do you know?
They're probably about 75 to 80 feet.
Okay. It's a beautiful sight, a huge flag. That flag is 40 by 60, suspended high in the air by 2 Terre Haute Fire Department trucks, as you see, and only the funeral procession is allowed underneath that flag. Now, when the funeral coach does get underneath there, they will slow down. They will not stop, but they will slow, and they're ultimately heading toward Calvary Cemetery. Now, when that coach enters Calvary Cemetery, they will pause, and 8 designated officers will place their hands on the